Alright, we did databases, and we're going to start you off with a little video to get you introduced to what a database is.
Databases make the world go round, but not everyone knows what a database is and how they are used. Don't worry if you don't know, we'll get you up to speed today on Dev.
Welcome to Dev, the show for web, mobile, and game developers. I'm Rob Gerdesh.
And I'm Eric Cormier. Whether or not you've ever used a database before, the chances are pretty good that you have some sort of personal information in one.
The short and sweet definition would be that a database is a place where information is stored and organized in a way that makes it easy to manipulate and retrieve.
Right. These databases can hold all sorts of information, everything from text and numbers to audio and video. This information is known as data in the world of databases. Even statistical data can be stored in a database. So does that make the databases a type of software?
Not exactly. Database management systems like Microsoft Access are a type of software, but databases themselves are not. Most databases are found on a computer or on the web, but databases can also be on paper. Like a phone book. That's an example of a paper database.
What's a phone book?
You know, like the Yellow Pages?
You mean like Google?
No, like a phone book. Like, never mind.
And there are different types of databases too. The most common is a relational database.
Does it help you manage your relationships?
No. Relational databases let you tag entries in a way that allows them to be searched and organized into tables and reports. I suppose you could use it to manage your relationships if you wanted.
So, how would a database be used on a website?
Well, if you've ever shopped online and filtered your search results, that's a great example of relational databases in action.
Like if I asked Target.com to show me only black shoes in a size 9.
Exactly.
Oh man, in that case I use databases all the time.
Me too. They're pretty useful. There's also another similar type of database.
Oh yeah, the object relational database.
Yep. The object relational database is different because it allows new entries to inherit data from other entries. This makes for a faster entry, but it's harder to customize on the fly.
Databases seem like an extremely useful tool. They're pretty versatile. Which databases do developers use most?
Some commonly used databases that developers favor include MySQL, Oracle, and SQLite when creating for mobile.
MySQL is an open source database that is known for enterprise-level functionality and its ability to play well with a number of other development languages. SQLite is a version of SQL for mobile that boasts a self-contained, serverless, zero-configuration, transactional SQL database engine.
The most recent version of Oracle's database, known as 12c, is set up for ease of use with cloud technology and use with large sets of data.
For Dev, I'm Rob Gerdesh.
And I'm Eric Cormier. Bye!
Okay, we have chapter 5, and it is all about databases. First, what is the purpose of a database? It helps keep track of things that we need to keep track of. It records all information into one place. People think that you could just use a spreadsheet, but if you have multiple things that you're trying to record, then a spreadsheet may not be the way to go. But if it's a simple thing that you can just record a list of something, you can use a spreadsheet. Lists with one theme can be used as a spreadsheet. As I was saying, they call them themes. If you have multiple themes, then you're going to want to go with a database. And next on what is a database? Data, a self-describing collection of integrated records. Bytes are grouped into columns and rows. Columns are also called fields, and rows are also called records. A key is a column that identifies with a row in a table. That's what a key is. Every table must have a key. Foreign keys are keys from another table that you plug into. It starts in one table and you plug it into another table to access it. Self-describing means a database that contains a description of the contents. A database must have tables, relationships, and metadata. Metadata is data that that doesn't sound. Data that describes data. To find out what is in a database, you look for the metadata. It basically explains what is in your database.
Then, what is a database management system? It's a program used to create, process, and administer a database. And then some popular database management systems is DB2 from IBM, Access and SQL servers from Microsoft, Oracle Database from Oracle Corporation, and MySQL is an open source. And then the MySQL is it's license free for most applications, and there are other products available, but these are the 5 that do the great bulk of the databases today. Functions of a database: 1, create a database and its structure. 2, create tables, relationships, and other structures in the database. And you can modify an existing table. 2, processing the database. You can read, insert, modify, delete data. It's kind of like the most complex process. Structured query language, or the SQL, is the international standard language for processing a database. 3, administering the database involves a wide variety of activities such as security systems and administrative functions. And then the question is, how much is a database worth? Since the databases are crucial, since it records everything, and a firm's database has value and could possibly sell the data, each one could be worth anywhere from 50 cents to $5, depending on the amount and quality of information, the available demographics of the client, and how many times the names get leased or used. 5,000 names could bring in as much as $2.5 million. Most companies are aware of the worth of the customer database to themselves, but may not realize that they are sitting on potential additional revenue sources. And some steps to analyze this database is a marketable quantity. 1, you want to analyze what you have and how you got it. 2, how to get it to the market. One way is to contract with one of several companies capable of writing custom electronic account or order systems based on demographics. One that can warehouse and update the database and web enable it. 3, more traditional method would involve contracting with a service bureau and list management company. The primary costs incurred involve hanging the file at a service bureau. It is at this point that your list is cleaned and made usable, and then hygiene is critical to ensure that the viability of your list asset. And then some questions. Make sure to see if you have a valuable asset. Do you have enough names on your customer list for it to be marketable? Unless your list is highly active or niche focused, you would need at least 25 to 50,000 from the last 12-month names for this list to be profitable. If you plan to market your database, in what form should you keep it? Any modifiable spreadsheet format with fields of information such as name, address, phone number, last purchase date, etc. are acceptable. The more information you provide to your customers, such as lifestyles, demographics, email, addresses, etc., will be more likely to be a desirable asset. Some companies are leery of leasing their databases for fear of the competition soliciting their customers. However, reality states that the mail order responsive universe, there are few unique names in the marketplace today. Your customers more than likely are on any number of lists ranging from home and business related publications to catalogs.
A few database applications are forms, reports, queries, and application programs, and they serve as an intermediary between users and the database. Forms are used to read, insert, modify, and delete data. Reports are a presentation of data that's structured, so in some form that they're grouped or sorted in some way. And queries are a search based upon users' previous searches or activity that they've done online already. And application programs provide security, data, and consistency. And then graphical queries are queries where criteria is created when users click on a graphic. So I brought up all these golf clubs so somebody could scroll over top of it and then click on it and it would just go to their cart or something. Or if you clicked on it, it would pop up with other cool similar products or something like that that would go along with it, which is what a query is, because then the website, that database, is collecting information that says that, okay, well, you like this wood, so maybe you should go along with this set of clubs or this bag or those golf balls or something along those lines. And then multi-user processing is the most traditional, and thin client apps use it, and it's when multiple users process a database at one time. And one of the problems with it is a lost update problem. And an example of that is, say you're on, they do this on Ticketmaster to make sure. So you're going to buy 2 tickets for a concert, and you click on those 2 seats, so they're kind of in your shopping cart, but they're not. And but you have a specified period of time where you're holding them for, and that is the loss. And that's because if they didn't have that, that would create a lost update problem where one customer could buy something while it's in another person's shopping cart, and then they purchase it, and now you have 2 people that purchase the same 2 sets of tickets. And what I explained earlier is that's what locking is, when you have a little specified period of time where that those tickets wouldn't be accessible.
That's a good explanation. That was a very good explanation.
And then a NoSQL database is the software systems that support very high transaction rates. Processing is relatively simple data structures replicated on many servers and clouds. And why a company would use those over a relational database is because they are much faster, and you have a lot more data to store, and you'll have multiple servers over a network, so you need faster performance. And most of the businesses that use those are just huge businesses like Amazon, Google, and Facebook. And something that relational databases don't process as much, and they're only really necessary for huge companies. And the Cassandra on Facebook, they flipped that into an open source project in 2008, and it was deemed a top level project by Apache, which is considered the height of respectability for among open source projects. And then NoSQL impact on relational database management systems. It's not likely for many companies to switch because it's very expensive, it's disruptive, it's very time consuming to teach all your employees to know how to use it, and it's very technical. If you were going to have somebody run it, they have depth and knowledge that takes years of training, and then you'd have to retrain all your employees to use it. So it's really not effective unless you have a huge company like the ones I put in my example is Amazon, Google, or Facebook. And it's funny that they weren't developed by software companies, they were just developed by companies that are very tech savvy and tech smart instead of software company, because nothing that any of the software companies came up with actually met the needs of those companies, and relational databases just weren't cutting it. But they developed their own software to meet the needs of their company and satisfy their customers.